Didn't see enough of me yet. Welcome to episode 120 and this rather impromptu episode. And the reason why I'm having this is because I realized over the weekend I will not be having any lives. Probably I'll start on either Monday or Tuesday. There's still some politicians have asked and we're trying to work out schedules, but we'll see. And I thought, okay, this is a good time to just recap some of the issues that have been going on. And also, 7 days, 8 days is a long time in politics. By the time it's Monday, we don't know what will be relevant, what will not be relevant anymore. So I have a few issues to get to, and feel free to type in whatever you want me to discuss as well, or if you have responses, let's go, okay? Let's go discuss. Yes, I promise I will disappear after 4th May, okay? You won't see me after 4th May. So the first one is what I have seen with regard to racial and religious politics, and I think this is the most pertinent. This is something I really wish to address. So MVP, okay, I'll be happy to address MVP at the end as well. So Chia Yun Kai, of course, the founder of MVP is now in SDA. So all the best to you, Yun Kai. So I do wish to address the second one is the rotation and the moving of heavyweights across different, and all the parties were doing this. So I do wish to address that. And the third is I want to talk about the rallies a little bit as well. And feel free to ask me anything at all if you want me to address. So the first is, I think the most serious one, what I have seen. Now, to be fair, none of the parties so far have engaged in this. So the parties have not. So exactly. So one of the first question is Tampines really Malay versus Malay. So, and that is what I wanted to address. So the parties have not yet used it, and I hope that continues, right? So the parties have not portrayed this as a contest between Malay versus Malay. So what I would say is I have seen online. So I have seen people saying, so Malays or Muslims saying, some, of course not the majority, I've only seen a few, saying that we need to vote for this person because he's the better Muslim. And then I've seen also in my WhatsApp groups with people outside the Muslim community, it's been buzzing, and many of them are saying, oh, this is the rise of racial religious politics. Some, I've even seen people send screenshots like, oh, this is what, when you give them an inch, this is what happens, and so on. So I just want to say, everybody take a chill pill, everybody relax, because election is on 3rd May, but on 4th May, we still have to function as a society. And I am really worried if people use elections for racial religious politics. And this I think is pretty serious. We must be careful about this. It's okay to bring up issues, and I think there will be some sensitive issues that need to be talked about, and I think there is a way to go about doing it. And it's fine, it's fair game. I do not think it's okay to portray somebody that you don't want to vote, you don't want others to vote for, as a bad Muslim. So if somebody say, oh, you shouldn't vote for this person because they are the lesser of the two Muslims, I think that's dangerous, and I think that is something we must completely reject. We must completely reject, and we must, all of us, when we see somebody like that, and if it's somebody we know, we just DM them and say, hey, no, just take it down a notch. This is not the kind of politics we want in Singapore. And where it can easily go. And this is the other thing, right? The second thing, if we are going to portray Malay versus Malay. Now, so happens the two leaders of the two teams are Malays, and that's fine, and then that's perfectly fine. So we need to accept that. That will be part of it. There can be Indian Malay leaders. That's the ethnicity is not a problem. And so happen also Tampines has a 25%, roughly 25% Malay population. So one of the highest, if not the highest, in Singapore. And we need to accept that that's part of the reality. So all of that is not the problem. The problem is if we start thinking, and especially Muslims just start thinking that it will only be a Muslim versus Muslim contest, when actually 75% of the electorate in Tampines is not Muslim, right? So if the minorities are minorities everywhere, so what I have seen, just in terms of the backlash, the small backlash, again, small people who have made this a religious issue, small backlash, ultimately minorities are the ones who lose because we cannot win the numbers game on this. So ultimately for us to have the level playing field, we must have a secular form of electoral politics. It is okay for each person to have their personal preference. Maybe a person feels that, I like this person because this person will represent minority interests better, or whatever it is. But it is completely different if you put it in the public discourse. I think the public discourse, you must reject that this person is not a good Muslim. I think that is not something we can or should accept as a society. So that's one. Not that's one. That's a few already. And the other thing is, during elections especially, tempers flare a little bit, emotions are higher. So we can be a bit more respectful to each other, even when we disagree with them. I know I don't want to mention names, but some are in the chat right now, in the group right now, and some people amongst my followers are PAP cadres, PAP supporters, some are opposition supporters, cadres, some are hardcore also. So we engage everyone. We engage everyone as much as possible in a respectful way. I think just those who are more responsible, just tone it down a little and just temper expectations of others, temper emotions as well. So somebody commented, now it is very widespread in social media. I won't say it's very widespread, but I've seen it widespread before. I've seen it being widespread. Not super widespread, but it is quite widespread. So we just, hopefully it will boil over, right? So forget about it. This is not Faisal versus Masagos only. It is partly. It is not Faisal versus Masagos as Malay candidates. It is partly, but it's not the entire situation, because Faisal and Masagos also represent the entire constituencies that they were voted in, which is majority non-Muslim. And also it's Workers' Party versus PAP. I'm ignoring the other two because I think they won't get back their deposits. So PAP versus Workers' Party, and it's a team versus a team. And I think we've already discussed all the hot button sensitive religious issues. People already know what Masagos stands for. We already know what Faisal stands for. Let's now bring the discussion to cost of living, and then both parties can tackle it, and then yes, I think even when we get to contentious we get to emotional situations about contentious issues, it will be a bit different if it's not a racial or religious issue. If it's cost of living, I think it's much more tame, if I could use that word, right? So there are a few comments, maybe I'll just read it out. Remember, you mentioned the 3 questions a voter needs to ask themselves. I don't remember, but okay. So Alia Mata did not address the Palestine issue head on. She used it as a foil for how some Singaporeans want to be heard. Yes, I agreed. I agree, completely agree that it's okay for people to express that we need avenues. I think that's perfectly fine. What I am saying is specific. We cannot say that, this is a battle between who's the better Muslim. I think that is something all of us should be rejecting. There was one more. Pritam's one house comment. Pritam's comments to CNA helps to deflect a bit of these sentiments. Indeed. So Pritam was asked about the Malay ground, and Pritam said the Malay ground is not different to the national ground. They all care about other issues such as cost of living and so on. And I hope that will be the way. That will be the way that we approach the Tampines battle, but also others. Okay. So before I get to other questions, is there anything? So it is the political reawakening of Muslims, which you agree has to be tempered down. I wouldn't say it's political reawakening. I think it is more of the manifestation of something valid, which is their hurt and despair about what's going on in Palestine. And I share that despair, not despair, but I share that grief and hurt. That's a separate point from what I am saying. And Teh Tarik With Walid will always continue to champion it, right? Will continue to talk about Palestine. I am saying in the context of elections, to portray somebody else as less Muslim. I think that is something that we need to be more cautious about. That's all. So I think we are all in agreement. But also I'm worried if my audience, this is an echo chamber because I'm saying something that all of us already agree on. But I just thought I wanted to address this for about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, then we can move on, hopefully. So, as the climate rally, climate change seems to have been ignored as an issue this election. Unfortunately, that is true. And unfortunately, it goes back to the reality of the unfortunate electoral reality, which is cost of living and housing always matter the most in any election. And this is the unfortunate or fortunate reality of any elections, not just in Singapore, but even in developed countries. What's the topic for today? My dude has been blistering with his content. I just wanted to do a recap of whatever has happened. So the first one I've already addressed, racial, religious politics. The next one, if there's no other questions, I'll just address briefly this question. Do you think it's possible that while the PPP and NSP wouldn't be getting their deposits back, they could to some extent spoil the vote? I don't think so. I think people will reject them resoundingly. Does Mr. Goh even stand a chance? My answer is no, but I don't know whether you think that is even possible. I went for the rally yesterday, maybe 100 to 200 people, and most of them were really not invested. Also, they were just there, I guess, for entertainment or whatever it is. So this is Goh Meng Singh's rally, but we'll see. I may be wrong. He has already promised if he doesn't get back his deposit, he'll come back on Teh Tarik and admit he's wrong. If he gets back his deposit, I will invite him on, I will admit I'm wrong, and I'll tell him wherever he stands, I will support him from now on. And if he stands in Tampines, I will always vote for him, right? So it's a friendly wager between me and Goh Meng Singh. So, as a Tampines voter, are there any issues that you think are a priority for our community? Well, see, this is also the thing. It's not as if Singapore, first of all, because our... I'll address Angie's point in a while. So first of all, because boundaries are redrawn, you can't say there is a community identity of anything. So that's the first one. The second one is, I do not think that Singapore is so big such that, oh, we have this side, there is this special community issue, another. Of course, there will be a few specific issues, but generally all of the issues will be the same: cost of living, housing, and so on. But also depending on demographics, depending on socio-economic status. Sudhir said that I shouldn't do too much content. Okay, voice cracking sikit. Yes, indeed, my voice is cracking a little bit, but it's okay. It's pursuit of democracy. So Megan says Goh Meng Singh last election would be his last, but he's still here. Let's see if he keeps his word about coming on. Fair point, fair point. Although I must say that Goh Meng Singh has come on Teh Tarik before, and we spent 100 minutes. So do you think Tampines residents are more cossetted from cost of living issues? I don't think so. I think the cost of living issues there will be other issues, of course, right? Remember that Tampines Hub and Kelvin Cheng, all of that will matter as well. Cost of living will matter, housing will matter. So I think all of those things will matter. So that the national issues, I don't think Tampines is so different as much as I would like to think. It's so different, has its own peculiar identity such that things would be different. So that's the first thing. The second point I wanted to talk about is, also Theo asked, do you think the campaign matters, or will most people have already made up their minds before the REITs drop? I think a good number has made up their minds, but the campaign always matters. I think the PAP lost a lot of ground in 2020 during the campaign itself. So campaigns always matter. Are there any questions? Sorry, if I miss questions, I'm so sorry. So the second thing is, I wanted to address the point that has been made directly about me, indirectly about me, but also by other politicians. So there was this clip that went on TikTok. People cut from my episode with Andre, because I asked Andre Lau from Workers' Party, which one would you, if it were up to you, which constituency do you want to contest in? And he said Tampines would be preferred for him. And then the person who cut it saying, oh, Andre is a liar, this is Workers' Party. So obviously I presume it's a supporter of PAP doing that. And if it's a supporter of the PAP doing that, is it wise? So I heard Minister Ong Ye Kung also ask, why is Chee Soon Juan there? Well, first of all, because Bukit Batok is not there, right? Anymore. But secondly, Gan Kim Yong is doing it, Tan Si Ling is doing it as well. I think other people are doing it, Prof. Faisal is doing it. And I have no problems with moving candidates around. Now, Harpreet also did it. So everyone is guilty of it. Everyone is guilty of it if there's something to be guilty of. So everyone does it. I don't think it's an issue. I think this is just part of political maturity. So what is political maturity that I'm referring to? Just understanding that these kinds of things happen. Yes, Wan Hao said Ong Ye Kung did it himself too, that is right. From Aljunied to others. Indrani as well, thank you, NJ. And I think that's fine. Anyone can do it because this is part of politics. And also Singapore is small, as I said. It's not as if you go from, Indrani went from Tanjung Pagar to Pasir Ris, there's a huge difference. Okay, from Tanjung Pagar to Pasir Ris, there is, right? The east is a bit different. But I don't think there's such a huge difference that suddenly there would be things which are so peculiar that you need to say, oh, you haven't walked the ground for 5 years. Indeed, I did predict this in my last talk with Bertha, and I said I hope the politicians will not use it because it can easily backfire on them. So I think we shouldn't use that. We should just expect this as political maturity. We should just accept that these things happen. So what is wrong is when people say that other people are doing it when their own party is doing it. I think that is unacceptable. So let's just accept everybody does it. The Deputy Prime Minister does it. Harpreet, the Star Catch does it. Everyone does it, and we all just can move on. So Megan says the PAP acts like opposition candidates being shuffled isn't the result of their gerrymandering. So if gerrymandering does exist, the episode I had yesterday, we talked about it. But yes, the drawing of the boundaries, for whatever reasons, it is related. It has an impact on the opposition going somewhere. So let's not pretend that is not the case. So there is a question. There is a comment here. Lawrence Wong posters everywhere, and this is really interesting because I've heard this already from a couple of politicians also talking about this being a mandate for Lawrence Wong. First, give Lawrence Wong the mandate, and I think the fact that PM's picture poster is plastered everywhere is also a sign that they are going to make this about a mandate for Lawrence Wong, and I think partly it will be. But I've mentioned in one of my earlier episodes, we need to be a bit more nuanced. What if Lawrence's vote share increases in his own constituency, but the national average drops? So I don't think that would be a rejection of PM Wong necessarily. Okay, so that's the second thing that I wanted to talk about. The third thing is which constituencies I think are most in play. And before this, I had said that there's 5 plus 2, right? 5 plus 2 before nomination day. So East Coast, so West Coast, East Coast, Marine Parade, Tampines, and Punggol. 5 GRCs plus Bukit Batok and Sembawang West SMCs. Now, of course, Marine Parade is not in. I don't think East Coast is that much in play. So I would say West Coast. Tampines I would put above Punggol slightly probably. But maybe, and these two I'm really unsure. We'll see what happens in the next 8 days. So these two, then Bukit Panjang. Sembawang West and another one, Jalan Kayu, I think there's an outside chance of them being in play. So these 6, I would say, are the constituencies to look out for the most. Why, Angie? Why are you capitalizing what? Tampines above Punggol. Oh, that's interesting. I was thinking just now along the way here. Is Tampines above Punggol or is Punggol above Tampines? And Maybe if you ask me tomorrow, I'll say Punggol over Tampines. But I think Tampines, there is a chance. That's what I would say. Why do I say this? Because there are residents, candidates, and she says she loves my faith in Tampines. I'm an adopted son of Tampines. You know, I'm a son of Sime, an adopted son of Tampines. My whole life, you know, I mean, I went to school here and so on. I'm not trying to sound like a politician, okay? Took the bus here and played at that playground there. But I've always been around this area. And why I say that Tampines is really in play, because people vote based on two things. One is party, the other is on candidates. So, the party brand, I think WP's brand is pretty good. Of course, PAP's brand is strong. But the other one is based on candidates. And I don't think the candidates in the PAP team in Tampines are that strong. Two are new, two are office holders who are not, I can say not the most popular or most vote pullers, Dr. Kopokun and Minister Masagos. So Bayam King is the really strong one, really strong one. I think in terms of getting votes, I think he is the strongest one. So that's why I think this is in play. Tampines is very much in play. Why do I put it above Punggol? I don't know how the dynamics are of DPM Gun going there, whether that really changes it. But both, you can say they are in play. We'll see, right? We'll see what will happen. What do you mean, Bayam King no more, Alfred? I am also a resident of Bayam King's area. So somebody said, I'm a resident of Bayam King's area, and I have to say in my estate it's not been great. Are you talking about estate management? Kaib, are you talking about estate management? Because I have to say I have seen similar things here as well. I have to say I have seen similar things here as well in terms of just the estate management has been a bit it's been a bit sloppy over the past couple of months, I would say. But I don't know whether that really changes things, and I personally don't blame my MP for those sorts of things. No, I just call HDB or the town council whenever there's an issue here. Alfred, Bayam King is standing in Tampines. That's what we are talking about. So then the question Daniel asked, this is a very good question. Is Harpreet plus Alia plus Alexis plus Jackson stronger than the WP Tampines team though? This is interesting. I think that team is strong. That team is quite strong. Is it stronger than Tampines? I don't know, just for this reason. Because Faisal is a veteran politician. So the other four are impressive as well, but they are newbies. And then Harpreet is sort of the star catch. The star catch. So Faisal and Harpreet, who would get more votes? Right now, we don't know. But that's why I think that maybe, so this is how I characterize it during my live with Berita Harian. It's not an A team, but what we have are A- teams for Tampines and Punggol for the WP. Imagine if Harpreet and Alexis and whatever and Ong Hui Ping and all of this, they went to Tampines together with Faisal. Or Faisal went to Punggol with 3 others. So I think that would be an A++ team, right? So now maybe we have an A- or just an A team, right? So Andre in Jalan Kayu, I think he stands an outside chance. I don't know how popular Ng Chee Meng is, but of course that is a single-member constituency that has been newly carved out from a previously relatively safe ward. But again, with this safe ward, if it's carved out from Ang Mo Kio or if it's carved out from Jurong, we are not sure whether the loyalty is to the PAP, the brand, or is the loyalty to Lee Hsien Loong and Taman, who are the 2 most popular politicians. So we don't know. So it will be tested this time round. So West Coast Jurong, Jurong West, it will be tested whether the 41,000, right, the 70% of that 41,000 voted for Taman or voted for PAP. So we'll see. So there's a lot of complaints here about our MP, but okay, I'll just say that I do like my MP a lot, Bayam King, and I think he is the one who is the strongest of the Tampines PAP team. Now, I also like Faisal a lot. I'm friends with Faisal. I think he's the most humble politician you'll ever find. So that's why I think it's great that you have two good candidates that I like who are going up against each other. Dr. Ong is also a star catch. I agree. Dr. Ong is a star catch. So that's why I would have loved to see Faisal, Dr. Ong, and Harpreet, and maybe Alexis in one team. They just announced debate on the 27th. So 5 parties will take part. PAP, WP, RDU, PSP, and not SDP. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so Andre, I was just talking about you. Hello, I was just saying that you have an outside chance of winning. So we'll see. And I do think, from what I heard, you gave a very good speech yesterday. And we don't know how Ng Chee Meng will be received on the ground. So we'll see. So there's a question, am I conflicted? No, because when I vote, it's not just because one person is a nice guy or anything. I look at overall the party, the national conditions, and what is the message I wish to send. So Megan says, hello Andre, you were amazing at the rally today. My thoughts on Tan Cheng Bock standing at Jurong West. I think the Tan Cheng Bock factor is still around, although I have to say that maybe PSP is more about Leong Man Wai today than it is about Tan Cheng Bock. So we'll see. We'll see how it is, but it's definitely a strong PSP team. Any other questions? Those are the 3 main points that I wanted to discuss today. That's all. So the first one was racial religious politics. Just be careful of this. Just tone it down. Everyone just be a bit nicer, be more respectful, even when we disagree with each other. We can invite them on. We can invite them on to our platforms, or we can have tea with them instead of just going on and on online. Because when we debate online, sometimes there is no decorum as well. So we just need to be. It's okay. Everyone just tone it down. Take a chill pill. Do you know where Kelvin Cheng is hiding? Oh, it's good that he's not commenting, right? Why is that a bad thing? Right? Paul versus Liang Eng Hua. Yes, I think actually amongst the GRCs and SMCs, I would say Paul Tambaya has the highest chance. Now, Paul Tambaya, Professor Tambaya, he says he has a 49% chance. 51% chance of losing, 49% chance of winning. I would flip it. Of course, he's the candidate, so he needs to lower expectations. I'm just an analyst. I'm just an armchair critic. So I can actually raise the bar a bit. I think he has a 51% chance of winning. Angie says, Kelvin Cheng commenting could help the opposition. Kelvin, if you're watching, I know you like to watch my live, so please take note of what Angie said. Will Kelvin Cheng be apologized to assuage the Tampines Malay Muslim voters? I don't think anyone can force Kelvin Cheng to do anything, to be honest. Kelvin does what Kelvin wants. How does social media metrics and content creation matter for convincing people of all demographics? So this is another important question, and something for us to think about when we think about social media. Social media, the comment section can be brutal. So luckily, or maybe not, unfortunately, the comment section is not safe when I upload. But anyway, so social media, just because somebody has a lot of social media likes and shares doesn't mean they are actually popular in terms of getting votes. And there are tons of examples throughout the world on this. I'll give you a couple. One is George Galloway. If anybody knows George Galloway, online, the most popular politician in the UK, online. And because he's very pro-Palestine, so a lot of people from around the world who are pro-Palestine will like and share his stuff, myself included. But he lost in the election because most of those who like and share are actually not his voters. So we don't know for sure how many people are there would be people voting for you. I don't know why Theo says you, George Galloway. Maybe you can explain why. But yeah, most people, you're right. Angie is right. George Galloway is popular worldwide, and most of them do not vote in the UK. But even in Malaysia, we see that people like Nurul Izzah, or even Syed Saddiq, who's very popular online, but it doesn't. He won, but it wasn't an overwhelming victory in his ward in Muar. So we need to just be a bit mindful of this. So yes, social media is important. It's one of the outlets, a very important outlet. But just because you get a lot of likes and shares doesn't mean that you will go viral. Faisal Manap, for instance, he doesn't really have a social media presence. But I know in Al Junaid, if you look at his electoral division, he's always one of the highest scorers. So it doesn't necessarily translate. So Theo says George Galloway is more of a political opportunist rather than having any firmly held political beliefs. Well, I think I urge you, Theo. I know I've heard this. You can dislike his Russian ties. I agree with that. So, but to say that he's more of a political opportunist, just take a look at what he has said about Palestine. I think before I was born, he was already fighting for it, and at a point in time where it was very difficult to be pro-Palestine. So at least on that. On the other issues, I don't know. So you can disagree, but to say he's a political opportunist is a bit different. Was I impressed by SDP Arifin's speech? Now, to be honest, I didn't watch it in entirety. I watched it a little bit. But I was quite impressed by his appearance on my pod, and he started off honestly by saying that he likes PM Lawrence Wong and he thinks he won't win also. So, and also he admitted that he made a mistake in the case that he was charged for in court. So I thought he was good. So people can say something to your face but do something else in the booths. That is also true. I think there's less of that. And also you can sort of sense nowadays. But yes, still sometimes it's very difficult. Now, if you ask candidates, they can give you a more accurate sense of how they are received. So candidates, if they are honest, they will tell you that, sometimes they are received better, sometimes they are less so received. Okay, maybe I'll just do 2-3 more minutes. If there are any questions, I can do that. There's a comment here. We are still very much retail politics, and election campaign and walking the ground for outreach is grueling in Singapore. Yes, I think retail politics, nothing can replace the personal touch. I think for everyone here, especially my younger audience, Gen Z, nothing can replace the personal touch. Meeting people, talking to each other, not just in politics but in life. So four-cornered fight in Tampines, Daniel asked, but dilution is still dilution. Well, depends. If it's a very tight contest, let's say it's 48%, and then it's 1%. Is that what you're saying? 1% here, 1%. Well, this is what I would say, right? If WP cannot take away votes from Goh Meng Seng, and it's on the WP, we cannot blame Goh Meng Seng for that. Now, of course, Goh Meng Seng is a bit delulu, thinking that he can win here. But he has every right to contest. And it's up to the WP to ensure that Goh Meng Seng and NSP do not get any votes. Thoughts on spoiling votes? I never like spoiling votes. It's better to it's better to turn up and spoil than not to turn up at all. But once you are there, I think just vote and just send a message, right? Unless both candidates are really terrible morally, then you cannot choose. You cannot choose between the two. A little bit Dululu, you are so kind. Yes, I am kind because he did appear on my pod. So the daily catch-up is here. What is your one question for Lim Tian and Desmond Lim? So Desmond Lim, I have to say, I want to separate the two. And a lot of people, and Singaporeans sometimes are elitist, and, we make fun of Desmond Lim, the way he is, the way he looks, the way he speaks. But he has been around, he's been contesting election after election, and that kind of tenacity I do respect. I don't see him as somebody malicious. I don't see him as something... Of course, he's not politically formidable, but I like that tenacity. I'm not going to make fun of someone like that. Someone who's not malicious, someone who's there all the time. For all of his flaws, he's a much braver man than I am. He is contesting against the PAP. Much braver man than I am, much braver man than many other people here. So I think that deserves respect from me. So that's my thought on him. One question I have for him still, Jonathan, if I were to ask him, in 2013 Punggol East by-election, you got 0.7%. Right? So clearly you will never win in an election. Why are you still contesting? Now Lim Tian, on the other hand, he's a bit different, I think, right? A bit different because of the nature of politics that the party puts out. So I would say the question I would have for Lim Tian is this, right? Don't you think that your kind of rhetoric is the one that makes Singapore politics unnecessarily heated? Isn't that the kind of politics that is more alienating? So that is what the question I would ask for Lim Tian. So I would say Lim Tian and Desmond Lim, they are quite different. So you will never hear me making fun of somebody like Desmond Lim. Okay, you will never hear me that. I don't think I will do that. Any final question? All right. If there's nothing, Megan says that's the only strategy Lim Tian can. I didn't know the attendance, the viewership would be so good and the comment section would be so lit. And I don't know, something about the afternoon tea that people are just suddenly so sassy, so critical, but I love it. This is the way. Oh, so Brian, sorry, I missed your question. Can you type it again? There were too many comments. Can you type it again? And then I'll just wait for Brian's question. I'll answer it and then I'll leave this. Thoughts on... See you, Jonathan. So I think mine is Tuesday, 8 p.m. probably. Right? New candidate from each party that has impressed you the most. I'm going to give pretty boring answers, okay, because I've said them before already. So PAP, for sure, it's Dr. Syed Harun, who is a personal friend of mine. And Angie is the one. Angie is here. So I would say, I got this line from Angie. There's something to be said about loyalty. So you will never hear me say a bad word about Dr. Syed Harun. I wish he didn't run because he was an NMP, and I think it does delegitimize the NMP scheme. But now that he's running, he has my fullest support. And I'm not exaggerating when I say he is in my prayers also, and I hope he wins. So Dr. Syed Harun from the PAP. From the WP, there are quite a few. So I know a lot of people would say Harpreet, a lot of people would say Alia, and I find both of them super impressive. But there will be a boring and safe answer, so I'll go Andre. Andre went on my show. Andre is going against Ng Chee Meng, going against SMC, standing on his own 2 feet. So I like that a lot. So Andre for me. SDP, yes, Arifin. I think I would go for Arifin. But I already know that Arifin was good on his feet and so on. It's just that I was surprised he joined the SDP. So Arifin is pretty good. The PSP, I think the PSP probably is going for the older. I think Hazel, there was a comment about Hazel. Hazel is really good. So for sure, Hazel is one of the more impressive ones as well. I have to see, I haven't seen enough of the other candidates, Sani and Sumarleki, to make an assessment. I'm trying to get them on. Sumarleki, he has been in contact with me. We are trying to set a date. But now my calendar is all over the place. I don't know what I'm doing with my life for the next 7 days or 8 days. So it's all over the place. I need to sort myself out and sort my schedule out. So hopefully that answers your question, Brian. And I think there are only 4 parties that really matter. All right, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much. Thank you for the good attendance, and hopefully, yes, let's do this. Thank you, Megan. So hopefully we all, those who are more responsible, those who are more, we need Harun on TTWW for sure. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Brian. So what we need what we also need is for us, those who are more rational, more responsible, whenever we see temperatures flaring a little bit, we'll dial it down, we roll it back a little bit. All right, good afternoon, everyone.